Hey everybody, it's Norris with the Norris Group. Happy New Year. It is Friday, January 5th. And how do you feel about California being completely rent controlled? That and much more as we cover the biggest headlines in real estate. Don't miss the radio show and podcast this week. Actually, we released a full-hour interview with Amanda Hahn and Matt McFarland about the new tax law changes because we felt that some people might change some of their strategies depending on that interview. So this week it's just the second half by itself. If you go back last week, you'll hear the full hour in its entirety. We just didn't have a different show for this week. So anyway, we cover this week how the tax law changes are, if they're business friendly or not, what it means when you have an entity or pass-through entity like a C corporation versus things like a trust, how that's going to change this year. So don't miss that on the radio show and podcast. CoreLogic reported home sales increased 7% last November, and they expect to see prices increase drastically this year, which is interesting because not everybody's saying that. Pending home sales increased 0.2% in November, and Freddie Mac reported mortgage rates decreased with 30-year rates now at 3.95 and 15-year at 3.38. Atlas Van Lines has done their migration pattern study since 1993, which tracks interstate, that's between states here in the U.S., and cross-border from U.S. to Canada moving patterns every year that are handled by Atlas Van Lines. So in 2017, moves are down overall, and 23 states registered as balanced, meaning inflow and outflow were roughly the same, and California happens to be one of those states. Here in California, inbound moves is the lowest since 2012, and it's roughly equal to the outbound, which continues to actually increase. So is that going to be doing this? We'll have to wait and see, but the top three states for inbound, Idaho, Washington, and Nevada, and people jumping ship. Those states are Illinois, West Virginia, and Nebraska. According to Zillow, all the real estate in the United States is worth, wait for it, $31.8 trillion. They also say that renters spent $485.6 billion in rent, and that's up $4.9 billion from last year. Senior economist at Zillow, Aaron Terraza, says strong demand from buyers and the ongoing inventory shortage keep pushing values higher, especially in some of the nation's booming coastal markets. No surprises there. Renters spent more than ever on rent this year, but the amount they spent grew at the slowest pace in recent years, so we'll have to see if that trend continues. After steadily climbing for the past 13 years, the population of renters decreased for the first time since 2004, according to the annual rent report of Adobo, an apartment listing service. Although the number of renters declined slightly in 2017, they continued to hold a significant claim on the market. Rent prices, however, show no signs of slowing down. Highest rents were all along the coast. Washington, D.C. held the top spot in the nation with an average of $2,205, followed by Massachusetts, Hawaii, and California at $1,631. And New York was actually fifth at $1,565, which I thought was interesting. Want to rent for $525 per month? Well, you are going to have to move to South Dakota. Good luck with that. Heads up borrowers, there are 3 mortgage rules that could look very different in the near future. The HMDA, which when you're applying for a mortgage, you're going to have to start giving more information away, including your race, ethnicity, and sex, and it could be released to the public as the CFPB wants us lenders to be collecting all that information, including hard money lenders, unfortunately. The ability to repay and qualified mortgage standards rules, which is set by the CFPB, is going to be reviewed since it's been 5 years, and we're going to have to wait to see if anything comes of that. Lastly, the TRID rule. The CFPB worked to fix the TRID rule and clear up confusion for lenders, but it hasn't addressed every issue, leading Congress to create a bill that would make additional adjustments to that help you close faster. Under the Trump administration, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with a lot of different things. Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, the CFPB, and all these rules. There's a lot of pressure on them to ease up guidelines, to loosen up lending. Let's see what happens in 2018. San Francisco State Senator Scott Wiener has introduced SB 827, which would eliminate restrictions on development within a half-mile of major transit lines to address the state's housing shortage. The bill would override local zoning regulations that limit building near transit, including maximum controls of residential density or floor area ratios, minimum automobile parking requirements, and maximum height limitations. So in a 2016 study by McKinsey Global Institute, they found that up to 3 million new homes could be built within a half mile of transit stops over the next 20 years if local governments would change these zoning laws, which could definitely help with affordability. And let's be honest, it could drive use of these transit systems, because the closer they are, the easier it is to get on. I lived in New York City for 7 years and I didn't own a car, and I wouldn't want to own a car. So maybe this could help go a long way into transforming how our cities run. On January 11th, AB 1506 goes up for a vote at the California Assembly Housing and Community Development Committee. And why should real estate investors care? Well, at stake is part of the Costa-Hawkins Rental Housing Act from 1995. In a nutshell, it would give more power to cities on how to handle rent control. Yay! Supporters of the change say the bill needs to reform because tenants are just not only unable to afford rents in coastal cities and in hot markets, but also because it's de-incentivizing builders in building new buildings and new apartment complexes for a various number of reasons. Those who want it to stay the same are obviously those of us who own rentals, and they don't want the government meddling in things, and they like the rules that are in place. On the blog, I am going to post both. I'm going to post the California Apartment Association. They have sort of a guideline of what the law says. It's very easy to read. I'm also going to post tenantstogether.org. There's a specific link on their website that are tracking sort of all the bullet points of what they're talking about. I think both sides have some valid arguments, and we've been talking for a long time on this show about how if we in the real estate community don't figure out the affordability issue, it's going to be solved for us, so maybe we can work together to not have that happen. Regulation or innovation is going to upset the industry. Which one do you want it to be? When it comes to rent control, what do you think? What should we be doing as an industry to solve the affordability issues? I'd love to hear what you have to say. If you're on YouTube, please leave a comment below, and don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a beat. If you're on Facebook, please don't forget to not only like the Norris Group page, but don't forget to add us to your See First list and with notifications on. Leave your comments below the video, and if we missed something, share the story on our comment sections on either YouTube or Facebook, and we'll make sure to include it on our blog at thenorrisgroup.com/blog. Upcoming events, January 9th, just next week, we are going to be at the Coachella Valley Real Estate Investors Association out in Palm Desert. Following the next day, doing cash in or stay put with Robert Hall & Associates. We're part of their full day. If you're in the LA area, we hope to see you there. January 11th, we'll be doing the same talk at OC REIA out in the Costa Mesa area. February 6th, cash out or stay put, we'll be back in Orange County at OC Phoebe, and the 15th, if you're back in the Inland Empire area, we'll be at Tigar, which is in Corona. March 7th, you won't want to miss the 2018 real estate market forecast. Bruce is on stage with 3 other speakers, typically Christopher Thornburg, which has been on I Survive Real Estate before, and a few other speakers. Typically it's John Husing. All these can be found on our website at thenorrisgroup.com under the events tab. For more information on hard money loans, including fix and flip, buy and hold, and new construction, check out thenorrisgroup.com. Or for more information on passive investing with trust deeds, check out tngtrustdeeds.com. Happy New Year. Let's make 2018 fantastic. With that, have a fantastic weekend, and we'll see you next week.